Okay, I can see it's recording. Okay. Good morning, good evening, good late afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our very first sand pile where we've actually... Oh, did I just say sand pile? Oops. I'm on automatic. Welcome to our very first AgencyTribe meeting where we have a guest presenter and where we are using our very new format. So this format is a little bit more structured and it's based on feedback that we've received from the community. So I thought I'd share a little bit of that with you before going in and introducing our guest speaker for today. So we're going to always start with a little bit of an intro. Then we have a 20-minute guest speaker spot. And if you're ever interested in being one of our guest speakers, please get in touch with Barry or myself. After the 20-minute speaker, we have 15 minutes of guest questions and answers. So this is specific questions and answers specific to the guest speaker. After that, we have someone from the community. So that's anyone of you guys who are attending and have something to say. Something, it's either a win or something that you've discovered or a tool. Today we're going to have Barry share Youth Summit key takeaways with us. After that, it's a similar thing, but it's to do with a book, blog or podcast that anyone might want to share with us. And then we finish off the hour with introduction to next month's speaker. That's the formal part of the meeting that's going to get recorded. But after that, we keep the room open for another 30 minutes and we invite our guest speaker, if it's possible for them to stay and answer questions, if there's still more questions on their topic or anything else that's open to the community. So we decided to make it an hour and a half with just an hour of the formal part of the presentation because we know that an hour and a half is quite a lot to commit to. So if you need to leave at any time, feel free to leave. A housekeeping thing is if you could mute your speakers unless you're actually speaking, because that's when it gets a little bit, we get a lot of feedback with that. Okay, so moving on to introductions with our guest speaker today. So Fraser's a little bit like, he's going to hate me for saying this, Madonna, because you only need a first name. Everybody knows who he is, in our community anyway. He is an absolutely huge, well, I think we've seen him on the scene of Business Catalyst for 9-10 years. A little bit about his background. He's got a BA Honours in Marketing, client side for 13 years. He's worked with some huge brands such as Reebok, Dunlop, Slazenger and Virgin Media. He's leveraged £12 million sponsorship, a £12 million sponsorship deal into a $45 million of additional revenue. His consulting, including e-commerce agency fashion brands such as All Saints. He's after Jason and Caesar built his client site. He's had 175 BC websites built with outsourced developers. And then he got fed up with building websites for clients who never used them. So there's a story just in that. He dabbled with on-page SEO in 2003 at an e-commerce agency. He's been fascinated with consumer behavior during his marketing degree. And he's gone full circle, marketing way back to web and then back to marketing. So for the past 3 years, he's focused on SEO and using his own site for credibility and for case studies. So I would like to you to click your virtual mouses and welcome Fraser.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Okay, so do you want me to put my screen on now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let me just put this up full scale. Can everybody see a big purple screen?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. So I'm going to talk fairly quick because I've got like 15, 20 minutes. So if I go too quick, then, just tell me to slow down. So everybody's on here because I know what you're thinking. Show me the money when it comes to SEO. So I had to quote Jenny McGuire. Urshula's given me the background. But the first thing, I'm going to start general. Everybody says they know what SEO is, but the research says that pages don't get any organic traffic. That's on a study of 1 billion web pages. So if you just think about that for a minute, it's like, wow. The next thing is I did my own survey, which I analysed basically about 700 digital agencies in the UK, and 84% of them get less than 500 visits. Now, I think that's maybe the what do they call it? The cobbler's children that has no shoes. Everybody's busy on their own stuff. So there's maybe a bit of that that's in there. Putting it in context, SEO is part of content marketing. We all know that Google's purpose is to provide the best, most relevant answers for the user's queries. And the websites generally get rewarded when they do that with traffic and rankings. So why SEO? I'm going to start kind of broadening. I'm going to go down into narrow specifics. Well, it converts traffic. This screenshot, oops, gone too quick. This screenshot here is from a fashion retailer in London that has 6 stores, and about 37% of their sales come from organic traffic. So it's a very viable sales channel for businesses that could. If you look at their data online, it'll tell you about organic as a whole. If we actually look at clicks, because everybody talks about search volume, but if we actually talk about click volume in terms of organic versus paid it dwarfs it. Don't get me wrong, it's great, but organic just is a Goliath compared to paid. And if we look at organic versus social, we talk about how long does content last. Well, you create a piece of content that's well researched and serves the user's answers. It can last a long period of time, whereas your tweet, your Facebook post doesn't really last that long. And everybody knows now that you've almost got to pay for social reach. So the other thing as well was attractive about SEO is that it's agnostic. So you're not from one CMS. Content's not. Content's platform agnostic, so is link building, and so is research. So from my point of view, the market is broader. I can pretty much cover any CMS. There's some, I don't know if there's a couple of guys out there. One guy's called Brian Dean, and then he's up with the big data guys. And they basically kind of dumbed it down to say, what are the factors in a page 1 ranking? Which were, if you can generate more links to your page, you can outrank top sites. If you can improve overall domain authority, which is relevant, high quality links, you can increase your rankings. If you can create pages as, let's say, a topic that are easy to rank, you can generate more traffic. And as a result, you generate more words on your page. And words tend to, generate, top rankings. If we look at the comparison there between referring domains and search traffic, you can see graph, which is those that don't have many links don't have much traffic. Those that do have more referring domains have more traffic. Again, this is general broad strokes. If we look at on-page factors versus off-page factors, this is, again, research done by Ahrefs. And they said that if you look at it on a scale here, you can see that actually links to a page are way more important than links to the overall domain. And then if you look at that in comparison with on-page factors, most people talk about SEO, they talk about, the page title, the description, blah, blah, blah. Really, links are links are important. So how do you earn from SEO as an agency? So one of the companies I worked with, they're a massive telco, and they structured their marketing department like this. So you had your brand team at the top, which would cover websites, identity, television advertising, all that. But then they divided into acquire customers, upsell customers, and retain customers. So if you take SEO can be kind of structured similarly. You know, you as an agency owner or as a freelancer or part of an agency, you can structure SEO as follows. So from the left, you start your research. Research then kind of leads into what content you create. The content you create is then promoted, built links to, and then you have kind of conversion analysis. And that function could basically, you could take that organizational chart and slot that into an agency, either as individual for each section or people doubling up on things, or you could have that as function outsourced. There we go. So the billable offerings, I'm going to talk about these ones. I'm going to talk about competitor analysis, site audit, keyword research, planning, production, content link building, guest posting, strategy, and agency tools. So I'm going to go through these. So I got a phone call on Friday from an accountant. He said, I'm not getting any traffic. But, you know, we have the conversation. He says, how much for a new website? We've all been here. I said to him was really quickly, with research tools, the website's not getting it. It's not getting any links. So pages don't get ranked. And I said to him, we need to figure out what people are looking for before we consider building a website. Ironically, I had done some research for an accountant friend of mine. And one of the things I picked up on was, you know, the research was, you know, accountant, which is people search for how to pay corporation tax. Now, if you look at the green box, when it comes to research, I look at kind of three things. I see keyword, which is, you know, how many people search for something. In this case, 2,200. That means, you know, how to get on page one. If you came to me and said, how do I get to page one for WordPress, I would say, see you later. You've got no chance. It's too competitive. Most people find it easy to rank opportunities. And then, as I mentioned there, that if you've got pay, you know, people don't just search for how to pay corporation tax. They search for, you know, how to pay tax, how to pay company tax. There's all different variations. But search volume is one thing, because if you Googled right now Donald Trump, you get the answer. You get featured snippets. So not many people are going to click through. You want to know in your research that will actually click on the search result. My keyboard's not working. So on this, I've gone too far. So in this instance here, that column that's highlighted, research tools to get how many clicks each of the top get. So if you average them out, the average result on page one gets 1,700 odd visits. And I've actually excluded the top result because it's a bit of an anomaly. So I know that this is attractive to go after because people are looking for that and they're clicking it. Another one as well, how to set up a limited company. Same idea, look for the criteria for research, and then I look at the top results, which is 2,600 is the average clicks if you're on page one. Sorry, I'm doing it in accountancy, but I could do it on all subjects. But sorry, the keyboard's going crazy. So basically the scenario that I use is called anchor price. What I do is I basically say to them, this is how much it's going to cost with advertising to be on page one. And then say, if we can get that level of traffic, and then we can build a website that can get conversions, then get inquiries, what's an inquiry worth to you? And then I turn around and I give them the person the scenario and say, what would you be willing to generate this type of revenue based on the business scenario of the traffic and the clicks? And as I say, that's the way I kind of like display it, which is, hey, there's this high cost of advertising, but then there's a kind of slightly lower cost in terms of SEO because we know there's more clicks when it comes to SEO. So that's the strategy I use to sell websites. I use to sell SEO. the first billable service that you can do is a competitor analysis. If you look at this screenshot, I take my client at the top and I show him having the worst traffic. I pick 3 competitors and all the traffic they're getting. And that immediately sends them to say, hey, how come guys are getting a lot more traffic than we're getting? So it begins to open up that discussion of, well, these guys have more referring domains. People like their content. Then we can say, well, what other content okay? So you could do that. I think that can be it can be a free service. You can do it as a website review to somebody, but it is billable time. The other thing you can do, which is built as a site audit, there's various tools out there. If you go to a client and say you've got a health score of 8% because 246 out of 268 pages flag up a problem, and with a site audit, you can then flag up these issues and say, you've got missing alt tags, you've got links that are broken, you've got pages that are poor and getting traffic. And you can work that out and you can say, it will take me X number of hours. That's another, SEO type service. Search is also a billable service. Colm McGrath, who's one of the BC partners, I did some work for him. He was looking for what content does this client need. So I did the research, and basically now you can see the stats there in the first column there, traffic. 2 of his top 3 pages are a result of the content the researcher did for him, and he then created the content and he built a few links to it. And you can also see in the column here that of keywords that page ranks for. That page ranks for 1,000 keywords because the topic we chose was really, really big. Again, keyword research is a billable service. Right, some people like Wix, right? So I'm going to give this as an idea for everybody here. So people don't like Wix, but 1.3 million people search for it. Now, that's not something anybody would ever want to target because keyword difficulty there is 62. It's really difficult to rank for Wix. Most of the results will be Wix, but there are subtopics in Wix. So we can pick all these subjects out, like, for example, do a comparison. Wix v WordPress, Squarespace v Wix. Now, if there are people on here who are business catalyst partners, when BC was announced that it was going to end, suddenly everybody went out there and researched all the alternative platforms. The research was actually, I've never seen kind of research in there in terms of all the features and all the benefits. It was incredible. So BC partners have already done the research. Using that content, you could actually pick one of the keyword ideas here, one of these topic ideas. You could write an in-depth piece of content about, say, Wix, for example, because there's good search volume and it's low keyword difficulty. So I know there's the top page would get about 1,000 to 1,100 visits a month. So the question as a web designer or a web developer would be, why would you create this kind of content? The reason why you would create content which is Wix versus Wix would be, 1, you're knowledgeable in it. 2, the user isn't ready to buy yet. He's shopping about. He's looking to say, I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure about that one. He's looking for an expert recommended advice. And if you can create that content and get that person on the website, you've got a chance to engage with them. And however you engage with them, then you pocket that you can create the dialogue with them. Just an example there of the types of topics that can be created and researched and produced. So there's my process. I'll go through the process later on. Another service is site planning and structure. I was taught a long time ago that you build a website the way you build a shop, a traditional high street shop. You have a shop window, which is your home page. You walk in and you have your categories: men's department, ladies department. You go into a subcategory, which is men's shoes, ladies' shoes. You then have, which is your categories. You then have the product page. You then have the basket. You walk up to the checkout. So I was taught that's the way, and I always kind of build websites that way. It's very much just like an architect building the plans for a house. Now, it is really tempting to like WordPress and all the different solutions, and you get paid for it. However, how much does it help a client organically? So I'll give you an idea of a planning project I did for a client. I basically did the research, said, listen, 25,000 click potential out here. You only need about 2,500 to actually generate need for your business. And I gave them all the data. So I basically had done the research and I laid out, here's all the pages that you need. Obviously, you've got your about page, contact us page. But all the structure of the site was based around what people were looking for. And they were all generally high topics, easy to opportunities. And I gave him the usual data, the screenshots of the search volume, the click volume, and explained to him, the rationale. By the way, everybody's going to get these. Gave him all the keywords. And then what I did was wrote the page title and bullet points of what content should be in. So I know I can write certain things, but to financial information or most of my clients' information, I can't write the content. But based on the research, I can basically give a writer like a one-pager of here's the key things to write. And they've got the blueprint of what to write, and they can write it for the client. And it's going to be relevant content based on the research and what the user's looking for. So a lot of people ask me, they say, well, I just want my products and my services to be ranked. But with most new websites is that there's generally, I've got a client and he does conditioning and refrigeration. Now, Glasgow is a city of 5 million people and hardly anybody looks for commercial air conditioning. So the search volume's low and it's also very difficult to rank for these sort of things. The other thing as well is that I think must have our brains have got bullshit detectors and we don't trust strangers, so therefore we don't jump in and buy things. We might jump down to the supermarket and buy milk and bread because we need it, but if BC Partners, if we remember when nobody signed up to all these new platforms right after BC was announced, we went through a research process. We said, who is Duda, who is Triple? We then began to understand what it was. How do I do this? We looked for guides. We then go further down. We started saying, how does Duda compare with Triple, or Duda compare with WordPress, or how does BC compare with something else? We begin to make alternatives. And then at the end of the funnel, we start looking for things. Buy this, order this, the nearest discount. Now, each of those 4 stages there, content can be created around the user, what stage they are in the funnel. So again, the research can dictate the type of content that's relative to the stage the consumer's at. So content is a billable service kind of based on, research, the funnel, and the user intent. Okay, I actually did this page here, and it's a client that sells table mirrors, and I actually wrote it myself. And this guy, I charged this guy £2,000 for 1 page of content. So it shows you that content is actually, I've built websites for less than 1 page of copy. The other thing you can do as well, which I call them power pages, which is you take content that you use and you add that to a promotion. So I'm old school, where a promotion, SEO didn't exist when I first did marketing, but we promoted things. So some people maybe don't like the concept of SEO, so you can sell SEO as a content promotion, where basically you take the content, you write that, get it on the page, and then you basically say, we're going to email that to your database, we're going to share that socially, we're going to advertise it, we're going to promote it, we're going to build links to it, and that's kind of valuable billable service. Okay, I'm going to take you onto link building. I could talk probably for about 3 days about link building, but I'm going to take just a snapshot of it. So, why is link building? I'll explain why link building is important, but I've showed you this is a diagram here of, at the top, that would be the content or the asset that the links go to, and then the links then are pointing to, let's say, the page you want to rank for. So again, it's the strength of the links is passed down, and then obviously if you boosted a service page, your rankings in Google would increase. Now, the thing I'm going to say next is that people don't link to pages, they link to an asset. So an asset would be something like a quote, data, survey, an infographic, an image. You get a lot of fashion bloggers that link to, products of menswear, jacket, or things like that. So in the fashion industry, images are very strong when it comes to link building. Infographics are very strong when it comes to link building. And, you can create an infographic, but there's a skill to it, a design skill to it, that look around that it's a design tool. So as I mentioned, clients don't link to assets. Sorry, clients don't link to your assets. It's actually people in your industry. And all the links I've built to my website have come from SaaS agencies, web designers, web developers. And I think, so I'm going to give you an example here. This is a client of mine who does air conditioning. And I actually analysed this competitor who generates a ton of traffic. And one of the things that I found here was, because I looked at his backlinks, I found that his competitor had 23 websites linked a page about the 10 hottest cities. And I thought to myself, that's interesting. And this is what the page looks like. So it's basically just images, a list of where the hot countries are, but strong websites linked to it. And I thought, maybe I could create something similar, because I know that people link to kind of content, and heat and cold are topics that are similar to air conditioning. So if I know people link to this type of content, maybe other people will. So what I did was, and this is work in progress, so I went to search 20 coldest temperatures in the world, warmest temperatures, and I created a page with an infographic that can be shared socially. I created a map with all these places on it. I wrote about all the places. So I did the 20 coldest temperatures. And then I created the 20 warmest temperatures. And a simple graph. And I am not a web designer. I stole that idea from somebody else. And those links there, the reason for the links is because this will be the page that generates the links. And then the arrows are pointing to pages that I want to rank higher. So that's why I go about this link building process. So I know the competitor's got links and I can reach out to other people. Okay, so I'm also now going to tell you about the easiest link building strategy ever. You buy guest posts and you upsell them. So I'm doing my research and I know that a client only needs a couple of links to a page to rank in the top 10, and ranking in the top 10 is worth thousands of visits a month. Would I buy those links? I absolutely would. The problem with buying links, it's kind of frowned upon. It's not black hat. It's kind of maybe kind of light grey. But everybody in the industry does it. And, for example, if I reached out to somebody in the web world that I knew, then, who knows that I'm getting a guest post. It was Webflow. I had a post on Webflow, and I said, can I learn about how to use Webflow and Business Catalyst? And they accepted my guest post. And there was no money that stayed hands. The only thing about accepting guest posts is make sure that you check the quality of the site before you do it and agree that the deal, the page stays ever. Links are expensive and they're traded, so I won't bore you with that. The other way that for yourselves, if you want to actually go and you can get somebody to go and, these are 5 high domain authority websites that are do follow links. That if you're a web designer, you should be adding on Behance. You can create a link from Teachable because it's a high authority site. And finally, the last thing is, in terms of a billable service, is what I would call strategy. So Brand X, I can't say who they are because I'm doing some work for them. They have 130 stores and they have 34,000 visits to their website each month, of which 15,000 comes from search traffic. I know the director there used to be the director of the second brand, All Sites. So I did a comparison there to say the previous company has 255 stores and it's getting 1.5 million visits, but the brand you're dealing with has half the stores. Why is it not getting half the traffic? So I can use this was a billable service for me, which was the strategy, just not the not kind of the little tweaks and stuff. That's more of the kind of business strategy of a business to say, why is brand X not getting 750,000 visits? And that then starts the whole conversation about what's wrong with the website, what's wrong with the search traffic, why is there not enough Facebook followers? Okay, agency tools. The only answer to the best SEO, if anybody asks you, is called Ahrefs. It does keyword research, rank tracking, site audit, backlink analysis. It's all you need. Now, many people think they can use free tools. Some free tools are okay, but the problem is they're based on paid research data, not on organic data, and there's a big difference. And plus, Ahrefs is a great, it's easy to learn. So, as I mentioned there, SEO is vast, and I've tried to cover this in 15 minutes, which is why I've put a resource together, a bit like BC Gurus, but for SEO. So that's me. I've talked probably too quick. I hope I haven't bored you, and I'll pass it back to Ursh and Barry.
Thank you so much for that, Fraser. There is so much information there that my mind is just like reeling with possibilities. This next part is when we get to ask you questions. So I'm just going to open that up to the floor, and you can either ask a question by grabbing the microphone or through chat, whichever is easier. Would anyone like to go first?
Would you like me to put the
link to that? We would love that. Yes, please.
Okay, if I can figure out how to do it. Okay, this is different. The link there. Okay, so there's the.
Great. That's in the chat there. So Fraser, I'll start. What you're offering, because I know that one of your the people that you're working with is actually digital agencies like us. So we could literally look through that list of ways of making monetizing SEO and getting you to coach us in a specific one of those?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I mean, I mean, my supplier is Ahrefs, and there's nothing to stop you from, signing up to Ahrefs and doing things yourself, and nothing whatsoever. It fundamentally comes down to time, and I have some work from agencies because they want somebody with a kind of third pair of eyes, with kind of SEO agencies down in London, and I tended to find that they have basically SEO executives straight out of university, and they're maybe just a bit maybe not as confident as other people. And again, just having a third pair of eyes, but there's nothing there that you can't do yourself. It's a case of what does a digital agency owner focus on, and what things do they want to keep in house, what things do they want to outsource. So
that's what I'm thinking, though. Is it would be nice to get some well, I'm just thinking what I would find useful, and that would be something like going, okay, I really like the concept of the power page production, and rather than me spending a whole lot of time going, how's that going to work, I would say, Fraser, show me how to do this. And then, we can just focus on that. I'm just trying to think how different members of the community might be able to pick one of the amazing, like you've given us so many different products that we can actually create. We could focus on one and just get really good at one and create that as our own sort of signature product for clients.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say if people are listening to this right now, I would say the one thing you definitely could sell directly to clients would be the site audit, because it literally is put in, certainly with Hrefs, you can basically stick in the URL, add a line of code to the home page. Hrefs will crawl the website and it will identify on-page issues, even, you know, sort of broken links, external links. It will identify, basically just every single, and it comes up with all the issues. And you know, as I said, it's a good start into, let's say, the general subject of kind of SEO. One of the things I've found, I mean, it comes in very, very handy. Where I found an SEO audit for a client was when before we decided to redesign the website, and basically we audited not only the content but also kind of, you know, the metrics of all the metrics on the site, and that I actually said to the client, you need to delete about 60% of your content because it wasn't doing anything for them. So I would start with
that
for clients, because it's a nice quick win for them.
It's a baseline too, isn't it? I've got a question here from Megan Bennett. She uses SEMrush. She said, should I be using Ahrefs? Hard to pick which tool is best.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why the single reason why I choose Hrefs was because it's to do with keyword difficulty. So it's a real, they have a score between like 0 and 100. So it's a quick litmus test to say this is hard to rank for, this is easy to rank for. And the other thing as well is that if you take SEMrush, they have a keyword difficulty score, but it says 60%. Well, that means nothing. If somebody says to me, well, you know, for if a keyword is 1, that means to rank you need about 1 or 2 links to your page. That's something that's really tangible to communicate. And then the other thing as well is that what I love about Hrefs is that it shows you the clicks to the top pages, which I love. So it's an option. So I mean, I've used SEMrush, but again, it's like the WordPress or Business Catalyst. You know, it's like that. So, but
cool. We have another question from Jack. Have you started doing anything for voice search yet, such as Amazon Alexa or Google Home?
I haven't.
If so, how?
I have not done any, and the reason why is that I believe I like to. If you've ever heard the expression of "get on the bus late, get on it early," so basically, I think voice search is sort of an early adopter, and I think as well the types of searches are not, because I'm really dealing in commercial clients, and the types of searches that voice are coming up with is things like, you know, how do I get to such and such a place, or you ask questions which are, I don't have commercial intention behind them. So I'm keeping an eye on it, but I'm not touched that area yet.
Okay, let's have a look. One more question here from Tammy. So we'll keep this as the last question for this segment. and then we'll then we'll start again after the hour is over, so that we can finish the rest of our content. So, question from Tammy. Thanks, Fraser. Excellent presentation. I would like to know more about buying a guest post links and upselling. Can you tell us more, please?
Yeah, well, if I take fashion as an example, fashion's a good one because everybody can sort of relate to it. If you just Google something which is like bloggers in your like fashion bloggers in Newcastle, for example, and that could be Newcastle in Australia. And if you Google something like that, what will happen is you will get basically fashion bloggers will appear. And the way that fashion bloggers make their money is by having guest posts, and that tends to be a kind of, it may be that you may have to send them a product sample, or you may have to give them sort of images and stuff like that. So the easiest way is really just to do a simple search, which is the other, for example, you would do it as well. Even like target guest posts on a website, I would type in things like marketing bloggers, and you would come up with a list of them. And then it's just a simple case of sort of reach out to them and maybe kind of trying to understand, whether you're a fit with them or not. That is the easiest way to kind of. And obviously, in terms of upselling it, there's the time in terms of liaising with them. There's the time, and maybe you might have to produce a bit of content for them. But that's the easiest way to upsell guest posts, is just start with a search. If anybody follows up with me, I'll give you some search strings of what to search.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Fraser. And if you're happy to hang around a little bit longer, there's a few more questions there for after the hour. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Fantastic. So, Barry, what are we doing with the screen now? Are you taking the screen back?
Fraser, if you mouse up to the top, you should be able to exit. There you go. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Okay.
So Barry's going to talk to us about Summit, some of the key takeaways.
Yeah. So in the future, we'd like community members to come with a win, a struggle, or whatever they're dealing with, a question. This week we decided I'd talk about Brent Weaver runs UGurus, and he has an event every year called Summit in Denver. And this year it was the 28th through the 30th, and I attended, and I know Laura Sutherly attended. She's in here. And one of the biggest things, they have a number of speakers that come in. We had the guy from Josh from Link Selling. We had a gentleman from 6th Division, Brad Martinell. We had Pia Silva there. It was very, very informative. But one of the things that was that's interesting, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this, throughout the whole weekend, all the speakers and everybody was talking about a number of things. And I just wanted to talk about my key takeaways. And then if somebody has questions, one of the things as far as agencies go, they're saying that we need to simplify what we're doing. Look at what we're doing and try to find ways to take out monotonous work, take out things, steps that we shouldn't really be doing. Also work smarter. One of the big ones, and I should have put this at the top, was productization. And if you're in any community groups on Facebook, it seems to be that's the key thing that everybody's talking about. Productization and standardization. Basically repetition with little customization. So whatever you're doing, whether it's Google AdWords, Facebook, SEO, have packages for even for website development. And I think about that back when I started 20 years ago, there was a lot of people out there putting, here are 5-page website will cost you this much, or a 10-page website. It's a little more complex than that, but that was one of the big things they talked about all weekend. And then also the other one is create repeatable systems and processes. One of the things that is focused on a lot in the UGurus community is putting the processes together, so you can hand something off to a VA or whatever, to do that. And then the other thing is to focus on, the one thing that you're really awesome at. Fraser is awesome at SEO. He realized that's what he loves to do. He's understands all the nuts and bolts. So that is one of the huge things that we took away from the conference. And other than that, I mean, I don't know how many people here have been through Brent's boot camp. I'll talk about him a lot over the year in the future, because I'm in their community and I think they do a lot of cool stuff, but also want to bring some of that to this community. One of the big things the last thing we took away from it is the community working together and sharing ideas. Agency owners, other agency owners aren't your enemy. They're your friends, and they can actually help you with stuff. So, Ursh, I think that's all I had. If anybody has any questions for me real quick, I can answer them.
Any questions or thoughts or further thoughts about U Summit? I saw a little bit of it on Facebook, and it looked pretty big. Like it looked, excuse me, it looked really awesome as a top class event. Yeah,
there was, I think, about 150 people there.
Mm-hmm.
It was really well organized. Brent hires a whole company to help manage it and everything. So it's pretty well organized. If you ever have an opportunity to check it out, you don't have to be in the community,
cool. Be
doing any 10K boot camp or any of their programs to go to U Summit. What you will find out is that conference is totally different than a lot of other conferences. A huge community. We know a lot of us spend half your time hugging each other because we know everybody knows each other. It's interesting, and we always meet new people while we're there.
Hugging's got to be a good thing then.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I'll move on to the next thing. We had a quick thing for a book, just to talk about a book. And this is all stuff that people can post in Facebook and bring to us if they have a book or something. We just put some stuff together. I've been listening to this one book called Who Moved My Cheese? I don't know if anybody's ever listened to that or read it, but it's interesting. They talk about mice and everything and how they always know that their cheese is through a certain path. But in our community, we have things happen to us like commoditization with GoDaddy and other companies that build these DIY builders, and the whole things change. So you have to, I guess the big thing is if something changes, you have to react and not just sit there and keep doing the same thing because the cheese got moved. So same with, BC. I don't know how many of us have been on one platform with BC, but I will never have just one platform again. And because we don't want stuff to happen, but that's getting outside of that. Look at that, 6:20. I talked faster than I thought. I'm going to talk about next month, and then we'll let people ask questions or Fraser. Maybe we'll get done sooner. Next month, Leanne O'Sullivan will be joining us from, she has two businesses, Leanne O and Big Blue Digital, and she specializes in Facebook ads. So Ursh has invited her on, and she's going to give us some information about Facebook advertising. So I will let this record till 6:30. So if anybody has other questions for Fraser, or us.
Well, there are some questions in there that we didn't quite get to, so I'll just get to those now. So the one following Tammy's was, what are your thoughts about SEO Moz? Where does this tool stand in the recommendations for an SEO tool?
Well, I just suddenly I became an Ahrefs fanboy, so it just yeah, Moz is up there. Moz was the traditional, digital agency, but what I'm finding is because I get a lot of agencies from London who come to me, and they all seem to be using Ahrefs. So I think maybe it's interesting that Rand Fishkin, he's kind of moved away from them. So again, it's personal choice. It's, if Moz works for you, then Moz works for you. But
okay, this is from Mark Ander. Creating custom reports that match the customer's level of ingesting them always seems to be the toughest thing for me. What do you think is the best reporting tool? And actually, just following on from that, and sort of linking in the SEO Moz, Doug says that he feels that product does a really good job of creating custom customer reports.
I'm not sure about that one. That's maybe something I'm going to need to think about and sort of kind of respond.
So we can continue that in the Facebook group as well if you have a further thought about that.
Yeah. I thought I'll kind of investigate. To be honest, I mean, with clients, I have some clients have got Ahrefs set up on their own account, and they basically run the audit. They do keyword tracking. So again,
it does kind of link
to
a really good.
Do too many custom reports for people.
It does link to a point, I think, because this is what I personally struggle with, because I'm not an SEO. Like you get a keyword report done, and I just want someone to tell me what to do next. That is all I want.
Yeah.
I want someone to interpret it, not only interpret it, but just say, you need to write a blog post on this topic, and this topic. That is all I want to know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that gap between the analytics. I get it all, but I just don't have the brain space to analyze it when it's so much easier for someone else just to look at it and go, oh, this is really clear. This is what you need to do.
Well, I think one of the things that is kind of coming, you'll see a lot of people talking about not just keyword research, but topical research. So picking topics, and I do that with a few clients where, I'll say, well, why haven't you written about this subject here? And they went, oh, I didn't think about that one, because they get very sort of one. So, I've done things like, just say, there you go, there's the topic, and there's what to write, and it's sometimes just easier that way. So yeah. That's what I did.
I really like that content plan that you showed in your example. You actually, Okay, here's another question. I have a general SEO question for Fraser. What is the best strategy to migrate a BC website to a new platform without losing Google rank? For example, would using the same domain name and the same page name paths as the BC site be the best way? If this is the best way, what do you do about new pages? Also, what do you do about product pages that may end up having new paths on the new platform?
Okay, so the best way to migrate without losing rankings is yes, having the same domain and having the same path. That is in the ideal world. However, I moved my site from Business Catalyst to WordPress, and I had a subdirectory for the Business Catalyst blog post. So it was like /blog/ blog post, and it now is just simply /blog post. So with that, all I simply did was for each individual blog post, I set up sort of redirects. What's the next part of the question? What do you do about new pages? Also, what do you do about product pages that may end up having new paths? Dare I say it's redirects. You know, if the URL structure changes, then yeah, you're going to have to use redirects, and you won't lose rankings. It won't look pretty, but so that's what I do, and that's what I've done. So I've got a blog post on it actually. Should I just like answer these questions?
Yep. Did I miss something? Yep. By all means, answer them. Yes.
Yeah. So there's one there. Besides Google search, what other platforms are important? If we're talking about the English-speaking language, there only is Google. Google have a monopoly. So I don't even think about Bing. I don't even think about MSN's one. Yahoo doesn't even come into them. You're correct. Ahrefs is not free. Yeah, they give you a 7-day trial, and they, like everybody else, they hook you on it. Yeah, I'm on the $179 plan, but I'll be honest with you, it's like the best investment ever in my neck of the woods. But so again, it just comes down to if you can justify the cost. It's just a pure business decision, you know, cost return.
So I guess the other thing with things like blog posts where you get, when you're focusing on inbound marketing, so this is for the people that you want to be found through search engines, I guess the other part of that whole thing is the conversion aspect. So once they're there, do you have any things that you do in particular to focus on the conversion and you know, capture people at different parts of that buyer's journey?
Yeah. What I'll do is I'm going to stick a link in here rather than kind of explaining it. This is a blog post that I created, and basically it was a how to play website. So if you actually look at that page, what you'll see as you go through the page, there's a kind of like call to action box throughout it, and it basically says like download the guide, and that page I think I have about an 8% conversion rate on that post, which is all right, you know. So as I said, because it's a long post, some people go, I just give me the guide and stuff like that, because within it is I give people a template, and they can basically use the template for actually laying out the structure. So in terms of conversion, that's actually, there's a tool that I use. It's called Content Upgrade Plugin for WordPress. And if you're not on WordPress, there's another solution with platform agnostic, which kind of does something similar. I can't remember the name of it because I'm not agnostic anymore on WordPress. But so that part there, and obviously on that page there, I have a sticky right-hand sidebar which kind of helps inquiries, but can
So
convert on
I've seen
organic
some
traffic.
comparisons also between whether you have the opt-in in the right-hand sidebar or whether you have it in the body, sort of space throughout the body of the content. Do you have a view on that?
Body of the page. Body of the page converts better on the right-hand side. I don't know why. You would think. I mean, I changed the site because I had no right-hand sidebar. The reason why I changed it was because my bounce rate was really, really high, which is quite typical for sort of blog, because basically my site is just a blog. So blog websites have really high bounce rates. So that's why I added, if you look at that page, there's a right-hand sidebar there to like latest posts and category posts. But if you want to convert a blog post, then the call to action is throughout the post, multiple times. So,
Hirsch, so I'm going to stop recording here real quick.
Okie doke.
So we're
no worries.
At the hour mark for this week's meeting. Thanks for everyone for joining. Hopefully you can join next month. Thanks, Fraser, for your presentation. You're welcome to stay another half hour and chat.
Sure.